Hi guys. So if you did your reading last night, I think you're going to find this section, which is chapter 2, uh, key issue 1. I think you're going to find this section to be pretty easy to understand. If I can get it to open. So what it's talking about, what the key question is where is the world's population distributed? So first of all, we're going to talk about population concentrations. And what we found out last night in our reading is that 2/3 of the world's inhabitants are clustered in four major regions. And those are East Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Europe. And we found out that East Asia is where 1/4 of the world's population lives. And that's the region that borders the Pacific Ocean and includes eastern China, the islands of Japan, the Korean Peninsula, the islands of Taiwan. And as I'm sure you are probably aware, the People's Republic of China is the world's most populous country and the fourth largest country in land area. And then South Asia is where another 1/4 of the world's people live. This includes India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and the island of Sri Lanka, which is the little teardrop off of India. Used to be called Ceylon. And the next region is Europe. And Europe includes 4 dozen countries ranging from Monaco, with a population of 33,000, to Russia, the world's largest country in land area when its Asian part is included. And 3/4 of Europe's inhabitants live in cities. Fewer than 10% are farmers. The highest population concentration in Europe are near the major rivers and coalfields of Germany and Belgium, as well as historic capital cities such as London and Paris. And then we have Southeast Asia, where around 600 million people live. And we have mostly people on islands, series of islands that lie between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Indonesia consists of 13,677 islands and is the world's fourth most populous country. And the largest population concentration is on the island of Java, which is inhabited by more than 100 million people. And then we have the Philippines. And then there are other clusters, but these are definitely where we have the four major clusters. So the site and situation of these population clusters are in low-lying areas with fertile soil and temperate climate. They're also near an ocean or near a river that has easy access to an ocean. So this map is a new type of map that we haven't looked at yet. And this type of map is a cartogram. And this particular cartogram has countries that are displayed by size of population rather than land area. So what you're seeing in this map is that, for example, India and China look much larger because they show they're based on the size of their populations, whereas Russia looks much smaller because it has a smaller population than those two countries. And then this map, in contrast, is an equal area map. So it shows more precisely what the areas of those countries would be. So let me go back. Okay, so we have the cartogram, and then we have the equal area. Okay, so we do have some sparsely populated regions on the globe where humans avoid clustering because these places aren't easy to live in. Dry lands wetlands, cold lands, highlands. These are places that are too harsh for occupancy. Um, so places where people have moved away from over time. And then places of permanent human settlement are termed ecumen. And ecumen, these are places where it's suitable or comfortable for people to live. So you can see population over time. So this dark, what we kind of consider green, like in your box of crayons or colored pencils, true green. This is areas of intensive settlement. So if you think about, if you took WAP, um, think about kind of those hearths that you learned about. It makes sense that those are going to be, think about like the Aztec, the Inca, and then we have up here like the Egyptians, not quite up to Mesopotamia, but south of that, Indus, and then the Chinese. And then the lighter green is small scale agriculture. So we're going to see that in the southern present day United States, kind of northern central, but look at you can definitely see that the growth of agriculture, spreading out from Mesopotamia into Europe here, and then look in China, and then in Indonesia. So that's pretty cool. And then hunting and gathering, you can see how widespread hunting and gathering is throughout the rest of the regions. And then uninhabited, mainly ice. So you can see up here in Canada, and then in Greenland and Iceland. And that is going to be constant until, continually. Constant continually. Okay, population density. So density is computed in up to 3 ways for a place. So first we have arithmetic density, and this is the total number of objects, generally people, in an area, and you divide the population by the land area. So this is really easy to do, but it's not as useful because you're just using all the land, and it's not always land people would live on. So you're including your deserts, you're including your jungles, you're including ice fields, you're including all these places. So the physiological density is a number of people supported by the arable land. So this is the land that can actually be farmed. So we're going to divide the population by the arable land area. And then the agricultural density is the ratio of the number of farmers to the amount of arable land. So divide the population of farmers by the arable land area. And what that helps to determine, let me go back. What that helps to determine is how many farmers it takes to farm that land. So if your farming is more efficient, or if how many people you're feeding based on that amount of land. So this is just arithmetic density. So we can see how many people live in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and then in Europe, and then in Japan and Korea. And then on our next map, this tells us our arable land. So we see in South America, in Egypt. So this definitely tells us that in Egypt, the situation is we have lots of land, but because of desert, it's not necessarily land that can be farmed. So it changes the situation when we're looking at just land that's useful for farming. Now, this tells us farmers per square kilometer. So when we're looking at land here, there are a lot more farmers, for example, in sub-Saharan Africa than there are farmers in the example your book gave was in the Netherlands, because that tells us that in the Netherlands farming is much more efficient. So you don't have as many farmers farming the land as you do in places like, for example, India, or in sub-Saharan Africa. So you don't have as many people who need to eat from that same amount of land. Okay, so that's where we're going to stop with this video, and we're going to pick up and do section 4 in just a bit.